And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host from Mo's Game Table, and Mo from Mo's Game Table, I should say. And joining me are my co-hosts, everyone's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the TheGimpyGamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
It's another glorious day in the core, man. Can't complain.
And the notorious dude.
Hey, dude, I'm a dude now.
Kevin Sharp, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm just here to be helpful.
Yes, I can see how helpful you've been. You've got everybody like confused out there.
What are you going to do?
And if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, you'll catch on pretty quick if you go to the Big Board's webpage, and you'll see what we're talking about. But it's funny. You know, people ask questions, they get answers, and then they bitch about it. So,
who are you yelling at now?
I'm not yelling at anybody. It must be really nice for a change.
No.
Oh, wait. No. Is this about that person that was messaging you earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. I read
Oh,
that.
he was messaging you too?
No,
it was just in the chat.
Yeah, it was in the chat. I was reading that earlier, and I was getting a kick out of it because Kev was being his usual polite self.
That was
Well,
actually funny. I got quite a chuckle out of it.
What are you going to do?
What can you do? But so welcome to 2024, our first show of the year, starting year 5 with Whiskey Charlie. So
I thought it was 6.
No, it's 5.
5?
Yeah, it's year 5.
Yeah.
Started in 2020. So it's 2020, January 7, 2020. So it'll be 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 is 5.
Man, it's amazing how long we've been doing this.
Even use my hands so you can follow along.
What's going to happen when we're like, well, I guess when Mo and I are in our advanced years, and he's out, and shut up, and he's our age. What's going to happen then? I mean, we'll be like, oh, what? We need to change the time. It needs to start at 4 p.m. I got to go to bed.
I can just see now. Welcome to our. What the fuck's the name of the show?
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Well, by then we'll probably be doing it with some new fangled dangle technology. It'll be like VR or something like that.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be great. We can do that from our wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried VR?
Sure.
No.
Oh, it is amazing.
Really? What are you doing in VR?
I got my little boy a headset. He was begging for one for his birthday, so we shopped around until we found one. And I wasn't expecting much, but the stuff they've got going for it, it's amazing what you could do. And you remember back in the day,
the port alone.
Yeah, when they first started releasing VR stuff, it was $1,000, $2,000 for a headset. Yep. Now you can get one for a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
And it really makes you feel like you're in it. I was playing some zombie game on there and just having a freaking blast with it. My wife walks in and she just sees me sitting here doing this number, thinking I'm having a seizure or some shit. Awesome though, man. I mean, you really feel like you're in it. You know, you're actually able to look around and reach out, feel like you're touching things. I
punched a hole in sheetrock.
Have you guys ever played that game? What's it called? The Shadows of Chernobyl or something like that. It's the first-person shooter.
It must be a PC game.
It's Chernobyl something. I forget what the specific is, but basically you are in this post-apocalyptic area and you scavenge for resources and whatnot. But they've got a video game called Into the Radius that's similar to that, and I tried it out, and it's actually got it to where you have to keep track of your magazines. You actually have to feed the rounds into the magazine to reload. You know, it matters where you put them on your body.
Stalker, is that the one?
Stalker. Yeah, that's it. Stalker.
I've heard of Stalker. I've not played it.
It's amazing. Like you actually reach back, you pull your backpack off. You can see it in front of you. You reach in, pull out magazines. You'll feed ammo into the magazine, put it onto your vest. You can have grenades.
You got to run in place too, because that would be funny seeing you run in place.
It's like having a controller, so it's like having a controller in your hand. Actually, hold on.
And you move it with your thumb or whatever.
It looks like that, right?
Right.
So it's got the little joystick on it, and you can use that to move around and turn and do all the things that you would normally do if you were controlling it like a video game. But it's got buttons to signify like your hands. So you grip down on the buttons to grip down on things. You actually have to hold your rifle. You have to use 2 hands when using a Mosin, for example. So if you're firing the Mosin and gun, you got to reach up, rack the bolt,
Really?
to do the next round. I'm telling you, man, it's amazing.
How fast can you rack it though?
What's that?
How fast can you rack it? Are you having to do like exaggerated movements to work the action on the bolt or anything, or no?
No, it's you move it that far, however far the bolt is, you pop it down to fire it. Same thing if you're using a shotgun, you actually have to rack it.
Well, the good thing is you don't have to worry about grand thumb.
Yeah, you don't have to worry
about it. You get an M1, you're not going to worry about jamming your thumb as you're sticking another clip in.
I mean, it really is the next world level type stuff. Like you're looking down at your hands and you feel like you're looking at your hands. It's discombobulating. At first you kind of get motion sickness until you get used to it. But once you're used to it, man, it's coolest thing I've ever tried. Sword games, shooting games, all the cool stuff. My little boy got Among Us. You know which game I'm talking about? The
Last Among Us?
Among Us. The little cheat game, the little red, blue thingies where they're trying to find the imposter.
No, I've never seen that.
It's like a phenomenon, but they've got a VR version of that.
That's why I've not seen it, because it's a phenomenon. I'm so like clueless as to what these phenomena are today.
Oh, my
war games, yeah, I'm up on those, but any of these other games, no, I don't know.
Do you play any war games, Gimpy? Do you play any war games, buddy?
Yes, I do play war games. Sorry, I got
cool.
I got
no, that's great.
There are war games on the VR thing, though. So if you want to try it that way, you actually reach down, move your pieces, and do cool stuff. I've been trying out some on there. I was going to watch a video showing it. Yeah.
Can you save them? Can you save the state of the board before you go messing anything? Because I would just be like, me and Kevin would be playing like a Friday Night Fights, and I'd be like, oh, look at this stack right here. Everywhere. They'd be like, you bastard, throw a bunch at me. We're literally having a Friday Night Fight.
One of the biggest games for it's called Demio. It's kind of like a version of Dungeons and Dragons. You actually reach down, you grab the dice, you throw the dice, you pick up your pieces, move them around the board, but it's animated, like a video game. Really, really, really cool stuff. I'm kind of proud of my little girl though, because she's already gotten banned twice for yelling at the other kids who were playing some of the games. I had to get on to her.
You suck.
We had to have a discussion about what are daddy words and what are words that others can. Yeah, she
wonder where she hears those.
Yeah, she copied some of Daddy's Marine Corps phrases, and games that have little kids in it didn't appreciate a little girl running around going, "Get the fuck back here!"
That's hilarious.
So she's got 2 more.
Get off your ass and get in a fight, you little bitch.
Yeah. She's got 2 more weeks left on a 4-week ban from the game.
Wow.
Yeah, she was crying.
Could you imagine playing that, using those to play like 6 Days in Fallujah? How intense that would be?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be real cool. Especially if you could dim your view,
Yeah, they've got military shooters on there, ACOGs, adjusting your scopes, the whole 9.
Yeah, I played a couple of third-person or first-person shooters.
I've not played any of those yet.
And done there's a like a, what do you call it? Like you're in the circle in the Coliseum, fighting gladiator style. Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. That's the one I punched the hole in the white wall. Shoot rock.
You win the fight at least? You lost the one against the wall. Did you win the virtual fight?
Yeah, I did. I think so.
I'll tell you, VR is actually something that is dangerous to war games as cats are. Because I was playing in my office, moving around, and I went to swing, and I had a war game set up on the table, and my hand just went right across the whole thing. Counters went flying. Oh yeah, I cried over that one. I was a little upset over that. Had to crawl under the table, find the pieces.
You got to be careful, man. One of these days, you're going to be doing that. Your wife's going to open the door, walk in, and say, "Nate," and then whap, you're going to hit her right in the face. And that'll be the end of your VR playing forever.
Yes, there's a boxing game I use for exercise, so I've had to warn her, like, just if you come in and I'm swinging, just stay back because I can't see it. I don't want to pop you one. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to distract us with VR stuff. But war games, yes, they're awesome. What are you guys playing in the war game stuff?
War games? What are war games? I want to know more about VR. Incoming. There you go. Have you played anything new, Nate? Aside from VR?
Black Horse on the table.
Oh, you do have it on tap. Have you played it yet?
Yeah, I've got it started. Doing scenario 2 with it.
Did you play scenario 1 or just jumping right into
like a training thing? I wanted to get more involved with it. Actually, after now getting my hands on it and get into the rules, it almost feels like a little bit of a smaller version of World at War 85 in a way, in the way that the order system is different, right? It's not that traditional I go, you go type conflict. You have the ability to push it, and I really like that the system for the game. It needed something to set itself apart. There's a plethora of World War III, war gone hot games out there.
Sure.
So this one has its command system, the snafu and whatever.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart command system.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying.
Just needs a little more polish, I think. The rules, the player aids, things like that need a little more cleaning up. Other than that, though, I mean, that really does have, from all that I've seen so far, it definitely has all of the earmarks of a series. You could just have your opening here for the Folda Gap, and then you can do the next section, kind of what they're doing with the C2 series. And then you have one overarching, just one big, huge campaign of all of them together. Yeah. I think that would be pretty cool.
I don't want to hate on the game, but I got to ask, did you guys have the same problem with the counters?
You don't have to ask, because I think everybody that uses those counters has the same problems.
Yeah. All right. So I wasn't the only one holding out X-Acto blade.
No.
It's just that printer. I forget which one it is again, but
Superior.
Yeah, it's just he shouldn't be printing counters.
Dude, it's like a ghost cut pizza, man.
Yeah, that is the biggest weak link with the games that they do is the counters. They need to get a better counter, a better printer for their counters, because that is definitely, for a $15 or $20 game, you might not complain as much. Even then, it's like, we'll just do them all with someone else. But when you're paying $55, you expect $55 quality.
Yeah, it's Tiny Battle started out as a folio game company, and you got kind of $20, $25, and you slap it on the table, you play it once or twice, you're like, that was cool, and you throw it in the trash, give it to a friend, or stick it in the library, right? But now they're boxed games, and they're $55, like you said. So that's too expensive for crap counters, and they're basically not good counters. So there's that.
Yeah,
it feels like it's about $15 over costed. Like it should just a little bit less than it is.
Yeah, I think if they had whacked it in at like 35 or maybe even,
40.
$40 or something like that. But look, a box is going to cost you $3 or $4, and he's only making probably, I think it's aren't they print on demand?
Those are print on demand, yeah.
Yeah,
but I think I think with those he may order a set amount ahead of time. I'm not sure if he gets a deal with
a couple hundred, right? Yeah.
But you got to think total cost, because when you add in taxes and shipping to it, you're looking at paying 65, 70, maybe a little more. So that cheaper side of the game starts to go away once you look at the total amount that you have to pay to get it in your hands. Right. And then when you pay that amount and you get the counters, and you're having to spend an hour carving them out with an X-Acto blade, it feels like a little much. The gameplay is great.
Yeah, the gameplay's great. The map's nice. I like the map, and the rule book's good in terms of its layout and all the rest of it. But it's missing. It's missing a final proofing and polishing and better charts
wording,
much better wording, and there's redundant sentences everywhere, so it just needs a proper cleanup. And my understanding is, based on having spoken to either two playtesters, that the designer was really not open to feedback and criticism. So that's on him.
I've kind of gotten that read on my interactions too, but that my thing at this point, it needs to be explained to him. Listen, dude, no one's here bitching at you. We're no one's yelling at you saying you suck. They're saying, hey, this is what could make it better,
Right.
and everyone's trying to help. So if you want this to be a one and done, you got it. If you want it to be 3, 4, or 5 games, well, then you need to get on the train and go with everyone else on it because you've got a lot of support. So
yeah. I mean, I looked at those rules 10 years ago or 8 years ago, whenever it was he first started doing it. And I
really,
Mark sent it to me and to my buddy in Austin, Pete, and he and I both had a quick read of the rules, and he's like, "Oh, this has got lots of cool ideas." And I said, "Yeah, but I mean, then back then it was every bit of 35, 40 pages of rules." And I just said, for what he's trying to do, it's too much overhead. No thanks. And I opted out of helping.
The rules are half that size now, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
I know they're awesome. They're way better, but not.
When a rule book's first written, especially by a designer, unless they're an editor by trade or really good at writing, they're going to be, overly wordy, and that's where someone has to come in and say, "Okay, I'm taking this, and this out because this is redundant. You've got about 4 pages of redundant BS in here we don't need." And you've got 2 paragraphs and we can explain it in two sentences. We're going to condense it here. Things like that. And that's what you want as a designer. Say, listen, I'm just vomiting all of this on paper so someone who's better with words can do it better.
But it does have a little bit of that feel of it was written by someone who almost anticipates you knowing the rules, at least part of them, before you read the rule book.
Yep.
That's something that always plays against a rule book, in my opinion. It needs to be written as basic as possible so that if this is someone's very first war game ever, they could pick it up and learn how to play it. And this one doesn't read that way. I know we're kind of hating on it. Y'all don't take us wrong. I mean, I like the game. I think it's a good game. It's just
the gameplay is great. Gameplay is great, and it's got a unique. I'll call it unique. It's probably not, but unique command system that ties in fatigue and all sorts of things. I mean, it's smart. I really think it's thoughtfully done. It's just because it's tiny battles, it's going to be a small print run, which means the price is going to be high.
Yeah,
it's not Salerno from Mark Simonich getting 3,000 copies printed and selling it for $43, and it's a super high-end product. It's 200 copies from Tiny Battles, and the counter's kind of not great, and first designer issues. And now I will give the designer credit, Arrigo, that some things were changed and he was not unaware of them.
really?
Which he claimed in Board Game Geek, on Board Game Geek somewhere. But that is what it is. That's poor communication between him and the developer. So, but yeah, I like it, and it'll be going on the table again once there's a fresh set of rules. Hey, Tony.
How's it going, Tony? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. None of us dislikes the game or hates the game, and I think really, if anything, I think us kind of, I don't want to say picking on the game, but criticizing it is all from a good place and with good intention, because we like the game. We like Mark. We like the game. We like Tiny Battle. We like what they put out. We want to see it even better. We want to see it improve. So that's why we're kind of, for lack of a better term, I guess, passionate about it. We want to see it. I love hypothetical World War III. So I'm like, this is, it's like 80 to 85% of the way there. It just needs a little bit more to get it to 100%,
And I think there's a value expectation too, right? When you mess around with the counters, and then the feedback needs to be a little bit better from the designer, but it's all good.
Well, no, you don't get malaria before playing. This is not Devil Boats. That game committed the cardinal sin, in my opinion. The first roll of the game, you can kill yourself. It's like, no, never have the first roll of the game kill your captain.
It was a stupid game.
Yes, which ends the game and makes you restart. It's like, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Isn't that the one that Wayne Hansen loves so much?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was that one or not.
It was, that was, that one didn't sit well with me either. I was not a fan of it. But some people love that generated narrative experience, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term. There's at least in my experience, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall a single decision I made in that game, um, other than what kind of dice do I want to use? These dice or those dice over there? I mean, that was it. It was just rolling
Right.
dice and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
So, and I like the narrative generators, like Greg Smith games, but I'm making decisions as I do it. Even if they're fairly simple decisions, I'm still making decisions. I'm thinking of something. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's do that. Oh crap, that was a bad choice.
Well, that's
But
why
you
the
don't
tank
want you,
ace was so good, because it
What's
had
that?
all the choice. The American tank ace, the
Yes.
reason
Oh,
it
yeah.
was so well received is because it was full of choice, not just are you shooting or are you not shooting. Positioning, turret positioning, what types of rounds you were firing, what weapon you were firing, who you were targeting. The fact that it gave you the feel that there were more units on the battlefield besides just you, and that the enemy might not always be targeting you. You
Mhm.
know, lots of choice in that game, so it succeeded really well. That's the make it or break it for a game like
First
that.
time I played that was at Compass Expo with Greg, and it was before it was even out. It was his prototype, and we were playing it. And he's like, "I don't really need to tell you much about this game," And I was like, "Oh, can I do this? Can I do that?" And everything. And he's like, "Yeah." And they were showing me what the mechanics were, and I was like, "Okay."
Right.
So as we're doing it, the first time I went hold down, I was just like, "I'm going hold down." Shot went right over my head, and he goes, "That was a good call." I was like, it was good to see that actually made a difference
right,
using
right.
armor tactics. And I was like, now you're not going to get in depth on it, but it was just the whole idea. You had to think like a tanker. And I was like, that is cool. It captures the flavor of it without being complicated. And that's why I think that game is so great. And even like Gimpy, you're not much into armor, and you are into it too.
Yeah. I mean, the infantry rules needed some tweaking, and he did errata that after the fact. But as they were released, they were a little hard to
Right.
grasp
Right.
how the German infantry operated.
Yeah,
but British.
But I think
is
I think the big value add for his solo games is that you're not the AI's die roller, right? You're a participant in the battle. That's what is exciting.
And I really like the fact that, which I thought was cool, was with American Tank Ace, for example, you are part of the battlefield. It's not you, the lone Sherman, against 100 of the German panzers coming at you. You're just part of the battlefield that's going on. And that's when I said to Greg, we need to get a multiplayer tournament going, or a multiplayer rules where you can have 2 to 4 other players playing as a platoon. And then as you're playing, the shots that other people take can affect you. And maybe you can all key on one target or something like that and kill it faster, and maybe do things like that, but at the same time piss off the other Germans that are across from you and things like that. That idea I think would be pretty cool. And he's like, that's actually not a bad idea. So I don't know if that's ever if we're gonna explore that, but I think it'd be kind of neat to have a multiplayer option. With this way, you're playing multiplayer solitaire with people, and it's interactive.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that'd be fun. Like if you're playing in a platoon or a couple of platoons looking to take a hill, right? Versus the unrealistic situation where one tank is doing something against a plethora of enemies.
And then there would be other things like you'd have Overwatch and things like that could be added into the game too, which as you move up and you have a couple other tanks hang back in Overwatch, all those things that would also could break the game too. But you'd have different rules for multiplayer. But I think it opens up some more possibilities to explore. So Primark saying, Mo nailed it. There needs to be a bit more TLC polishing and it would be just fine. Still wondering, how well the Snafu system scales with larger formations.
Well, it's division scale, so it's large.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big. Yeah.
So you would just have to have, you're going to have, every formation has its own little card. So that's how that would work. Yeah. I think if you had 20 divisions on a map, it becomes a grind. And that's not a realistic scale of game to play with that technology.
With any war game.
Yeah. Well, especially at that scale, right? I mean, it just don't make sense. You would need 4, 5, 6 maps, and it becomes hard.
You'd need like you'd need to go to CSW and play that for the entire con.
Right.
And try to get through 2 turns, 3 turns.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome to Grognard Simulations, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, how did your interview go with
Black Horse?
With Yevis. How do you say that? With the Red Strike guys.
Eve?
Is that how you pronounce it?
Eves? Yeah. Yevis.
It's got a Y.
Oh. Eve Rattle and Patrick from VUCA. Yeah, we had a chat on Sunday. You were there.
I was only there for a little bit of time.
I thought you stuck around. Well, you popped in and I saw you, so I thought you were going to stick around. Went well. I mean, we had a conversation a couple months ago about them coming back on once the game came out, I should say. And now that it was out, we've been trying to find a time that works for everybody. And last Sunday was the day. So we got in there and talked more about it. And he was talking about future plans and what they're going to be doing. There's going to be an update kit that they're going to be putting out for Red Strike, because there are some clarifications. There's some errata as to be expected. And what they're going to do is they're going to make it all freely downloadable. So you can download the PDF and all that stuff.
Cool.
Or for whatever, they don't know the exact dollar price right now, but for X amount of dollars, like 10 or $15, I'm just throwing out a number, you can get the physical components. So that way, basically all they're doing is covering their cost and shipping. That's it.
Oh, they're going to do like a second edition with all that stuff built into it?
Oh, there's going to be other games.
Well, I know they're doing other games.
Falklands is one of them.
If they're looking at like a second edition, I was thinking I might wait till they do like a second edition and pick it up then.
Don't wait. Just get it. Just get it. Because they may do a second edition, but it may not be for a little while. So they still have copies of it now. So get it now, and then all you'd have to do is get an update kit, which would just give you the updated rules, any counters that got corrected. And the best thing about it is you're not just getting the components and the new rule book and all that stuff. If they're going to do an update kit, they're also going to add in maybe a map or two and a couple more scenarios. So you're going to get additional content too.
So what about the people who don't buy the update kit? Can they download that map? Or?
Yeah, you can download. Well, I'm not sure about the map, but you can download all the books and everything else. But as far as if there's new counters or anything like that, you'd have to buy the physical. So it's going to be a combination of kind of I don't want to say an expansion, but there's value add to the update kit from what their plans are.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't mind that.
Yeah, and it's going to be minimal cost. I mean, it's not like it's going to be $40 or $50 for it. You know, the way they were talking, it sounded like it was going to be $20 or less. So it's a drop in the bucket when you're paying $175 for a game. So
yeah, I heard them talking about it, that they didn't feel right turning a profit off of basically correcting mistakes, which is the right way to go with it. If they're going to correct something, they need to offer it to people for free through like PDFs or pay
which they'll do.
My cost to get the updated components. I think that's a fair middle ground versus making a profit off of it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. You know, and it's like, if you're gonna,
well, you can make a profit, but just don't be obscene about it.
Yeah. I mean, you can make a few bucks, but don't be like, it's $60 for the update kit. Wait a minute, you're charging me $60 to upgrade, the game,
or make me buy a $40 magazine to get the right.
But it's only once a year. So let's see, where else are we over here?
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
What do you guys think about, and what does the audience think about when, let's say, you get a second edition or updated rule book and it's a hard copy, it's shipped to you? Do you guys throw away the original rule book and then put the new rule book in, or do you keep both?
Keep both.
Yeah, keep both. I never throw any.
Usually I keep both. But if it's not easily distinguishable as to which one's which, I'll put like a little mark on it, version 1, V1 or something like that. So that way I know, because sometimes they look exactly alike.
Right.
Like,
what about errata counters? Do you throw away the incorrect counters and just keep the errata counters?
Nope,
take them, I put them in a little zip, put them in a little bag, and I put old counters, errata, I'll just mark something on old counters, errata has replaced them or whatever. Yeah, I'll throw them in the box.
I forget what game it was I played. It had some errata counters for it, but it had Army and Marine units, and there weren't enough Marine units. And I was like, nah, we're just going to keep the errata counters and just have more Marine units. So I just call them extra counters. Bonus
Extra
pieces.
Marines.
Yeah. More Marines always a good thing. You never throw away
everyone's saying they keep them all. That's funny.
Did we see the Viking DVG Kickstarter? I did not. I really don't even notice anything from DVG anymore.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I was still making games. That's cool.
Yeah.
See, I even keep the blank counters, man.
Always keep the blanks.
Yeah.
Always keep the blanks. I mean, come on. Let's not be crazy.
You can turn those into extra pieces in case you lose one.
Yep.
And was this DVG's coming out with another game? A Viking version now?
Yeah, Viking. Viking what? Is it a Viking game or is it a Viking warfighter?
I've
Warfighter.
Keeping track of
Norse
DVG.
fighter.
Have you even heard from them?
I have not talked to them in years.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from them in probably 2 years.
Yes, the Vassal mod has been released, and there are a couple updates that need to be made on it too. So something about the NATO cards and something else. I can't remember what it is, but there's some they're going to make some changes on that Vassal mod.
Wait, is it Warfighter Vikings or is it Viking Commander? Because that's 2 different series.
I have no idea. I'm calling it Norse Fighter.
I bet you $1 it's the command. It's Warfighter, so Warfighter. Oh, by the way, Nate, you got that game I sent. Since you and I got the game you sent me, and I played it. Have you played your Dacto yet?
No, it's the next one going on the table. I've got, like I said, Black Horse on the table now, being filmed, and then I'm going to put that one on there afterwards. And actually, I'm probably going to do the hockey game first, and then that one. We'll have to see. I've got a list of games that need to be covered. But yeah, I am getting that one onto the table as soon as I can. Thank you for sending it, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no worries. And thanks for the dice. They're cool. I use them all the time.
Well, if you like Red Strike starting in 1989, then you should read Op Plan Folda. It's a really good book. It's the same thing. It starts in 1989. Just wish the base game was not $180, but you get what you pay for with VUCA stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got Trick Shot too.
Yeah.
Wow, the box got really small.
This one just came in. I've almost got all the guys painted up, and after I get them done being painted,
that might be why. Are they? Did they all fit in the box?
Yeah. I only got 2 teams. I didn't get any of the bonuses.
Yeah, I just got 2 teams too. I got a painted ref, but mine were all pre-painted.
You could order them pre-painted, but I was like, I paint, so I'll save the money and just paint them myself. And it's not hard because
I paint, but I saved the time and bought them. Let somebody else do it.
It's got the cartoony look to it. The game seems like it's fun, like something.
It's a neat game.
My kids would like. So
it's actually a lot more interesting, a lot more fun and involved than I thought it was going to be. I kind of was like, this might be cool, it might be kind of silly, but I was like, no, it's actually really good.
Why is it the blue is going away on me?
Yeah, I think it's some of the colors. That looks pretty good though, from what I see.
I haven't finished painting the red ones. It's not like
disappeared as well. Yeah.
Or you can kind of see it. I'll be filming it soon enough. I really wish they would do like a board game version of that old video game, the Mutant League Football, Mutant League Hockey.
Yeah.
You guys remember those?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess Blood Bowl's kind of like that for football, but I wish they would make a hockey version. I always loved that game where you could kill the opponent, the opponent players.
Yeah. That would be cool. I'm just kind of catching up on comments that I'm a little behind on. Yeah, everybody, as you said, everybody keeps them. So Viking Commander.
Wow. Okay.
Is that the name of it? Seriously? So, like, do you command a fleet of ships, or it's not Norse Fighter?
No, evidently.
So, what scale is Dacto? That's company, right? No.
Yeah.
Smaller, I think.
No, it's individual.
It's individual troops because the chips are like ones, tens,
represent
fives.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think let's say it's like platoon scale.
Yeah. Probably like, yeah, I would say probably platoon scale. There you go. They were soldiers. That's the one I have.
I had dinner with the guy who was there Sunday night.
Really?
Yeah.
He was there at LZ X-Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Talk any stories?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was a Pathfinder.
Damn, that would be something else.
The entirety of the troops on the board represent a battalion, I think, if I'm reading that right. So that would have to be it down like platoon scale or
platoon
squad.
company, yeah.
Maybe it is platoon. I don't know. I thought it was individual guys. Each chip represented between 5 and 10 guys.
Yeah.
And you had a soldier on top. And then
to represent infantry or guns or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a squad level then.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that would fit with the amount of stuff because the vehicles are individual vehicles, I think.
Wouldn't be squad level though, because
squads
you're talking
are about 10 men. Just depending.
Squads are about 10 to 15, 12, 13, something like that. But you're talking, you can have stacks of like up to 20 or more.
Yeah, so that would be a platoon. Like a stack would be a platoon.
Yeah.
But each individual piece represents like the squad.
Yeah, like a fire team to a squad, depending, because some are 5, some are 10. The colors offer the different values. So you can break it down to fire team or into a full squad. Well, an understring squad,
Yeah. For those of y'all who haven't played the game that we're talking about, it's kind of like Axis and Allies. It's got those tiny little miniature pieces with it and whatnot to represent all the different units. Just a different scale than Axis and Allies, where those pieces represented like armies or aircraft carriers.
Yeah,
right.
This is really scaled down. They actually just finished their most recent Kickstarter, Cadet Games.
Really?
Which was, I think it was the beach landings.
Really?
Normandy. I'm having a brain fart. I can't remember. I remember it was earlier part of the war.
Huh. Let's see what they have on their website. To the cloud.
Yeah, because I just covered the Market Garden one, and this one was before it.
They got
Is that
some linebacker too.
Vangerwolf? Yeah, it was France. What am I thinking?
France 40 ANA. Okay, so they do, because they do have the Axis. They get Blitzkrieg 40, Arnhem 44. They've got Hamburger Hill, Dacto. They were soldiers. Well, yeah, Drang.
Yeah, he's right. Blitzkrieg. That's the word I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember. Blitzkrieg 40, Battle for France.
Yeah, they got some pretty neat games. They have some interesting games in development. Back 21, Kotang Island, Black Hawk Down. And then they also have another Vietnam game. They also have a Cold War game that they were supposed to be doing, I think. It's either them or, I don't know, it may not be them. Maybe, what's the name of the company that did the Desert Storm game that Brian sent to me? I think it's them who are coming out with the Cold War game. So.
Will, are you talking about, well, I know what game you're talking about, but do you hear about that from me when I was announcing that? Because I'm definitely looking forward to that one. It's a Mantic's version of like Epic 40K. So the scale down, instead of having a Marine, you'll have like a squad of Marines.
Is Mantic one of the bad publishers?
No, they're good.
That screwed people over? Okay.
No. Mantic's fine. Mantic is kind of like the poor man's Games Workshop, except they put out games that are at affordable prices. Whereas Games Workshop will charge $300 for a box. Mantic will charge $100 and put more in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's accurate simulations. They've got the Vietnam War in production, the first Cold War in production. They have a card game, Fleets and Flotillas, that's coming out this year. Rommel in Tunisia, and World War II in Europe. Muse Argonne is undergoing artwork. Imjin War, the Samurai Invasion of Korea, 1594 to 1597. Ooh, that could be interesting too. So they got some interesting games in
you
works
can
there.
screen share, show people what you
I
got.
could, but I didn't.
I love it. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
a little
no complaints
bigger than the Epic scale, but it's still going to be the smaller version, so you can get more units on the board. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping they do right by the game.
What'd you think of the linebacker game, Primark? Being that you kickstarted it. Yes, screen share costs extra.
Oh.
No, I was talking to Primark. He said that he kickstarted a linebacker game. So that's the ones he did. They were soldiers. They had that linebacker game. So I'm curious to hear about that one too, because there's no coverage on those games really anywhere. So
are you talking about the one by Cadet Games?
Cadet Games, yeah.
Yeah.
So it has not shipped yet. Okay.
I talked to him about that because I was getting onto him. I'm like, look, dude, you would get more.
Well, don't get on to somebody if you're trying to help them. You get on to somebody, they're going to be like, "Screw you, dude."
Because he had sent me, heads up before in the past, and I was like, "Look, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you have got to get your games in front of an audience. You don't have to send it to me. You can send it to whoever, but find a reviewer that you like and send it to them so they'll cover it." Because people now are so used to seeing it on YouTube, they want to see that preview. They want to see it being played or at least opened up and shown, so that they can make a more informed choice than just looking at the Kickstarter. And basically, he had gotten screwed by some people in the past. From the little I remember him telling me, I think he had done some paid for reviews and they did a very poor job of it and didn't really put a whole lot of effort into it. And he's like, I'm sending them the game, I'm paying them this money, and they're not, doing whatever. And I was like, look, if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. You don't have to work with me. I can tell you some other guys I know that will cover the games, whatever, but just find someone you can trust and work with them so you can get that.
Reach out to him again. Let's get him on the show.
Yeah, his name's Kevin.
We can talk about his game. Yeah. His name's Kevin too. So we'll have Kevin.
Yeah. Don't be such a Kevin.
All right, Kevin. Gonna be such a Kevin. First it was Karen, now there's Karen.
You can't blame him because he's not the only publisher that's had that same excuse.
No, I know. Well,
which people screwed him over?
He didn't say.
See, that's another thing I don't like is name and shame, man. Somebody screws you over, name them.
You can't really name and shame someone without risking causing hurt backlash back to yourself.
If they said to you, if a content creator, first off, a content creator saying you need to pay me X amount of dollars for a review, number one, that's the big red flag. Don't send them money. You're sending them a game. Don't pay them for a review. And if you paid the money and they didn't do anything or they did it half-assed, then I would just be like, no, these guys, they asked me for money. I didn't get my money's worth. Yeah. Hey,
it depends
or pay them after the review's done, first of all, right?
Well, yeah.
You guys remember I talked to you guys about that drama that happened. Damn, I can't remember the dude's name, but he tried to extort the company, and he wasn't asking for a few $100s. He was asking for like $9,000.
For what?
For a review.
Who's asking $9,000 for a review?
Oh God, I cannot remember
9,000. 9, not one. 9.
Yeah, it was not hundreds of dollars. Basically, he told the publisher, and this wasn't War Games, this was run-of-the-mill games, that they'd already done some filming of it, and the current videos were bad reviews. But if they wanted to pay and have him do extra, time with the game, then he's sure he can, learn the rules and understand it right. And, they put in that effort, and then, we'll put out a different review. He roundabout said, you can either not pay me and I'll put out a bad review, or you can pay me and I'll put out a good review.
I do remember that because that's when the guy released all the emails.
Yeah. And he dropped it, and that dude lost thousands of subscribers in a short period of time. But he was not asking $200, $300. He was asking thousands to do it.
The unit economics don't work unless it's a 50,000 unit run for a start. But anyway.
I mean, I can understand if it's some of these Kickstarters that make $1 million, $2
Simon.
million. Yeah, you know, but
You want to do a
they've already got people
zombicide
to work with.
thing? You want me to do a zombicide review for you? No problem. Give me 10 grand. I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's not like you ain't making millions of dollars on the damn thing.
Well, I mean, people like Becca Scott, they're going to charge for their time because they have high level production quality work going into it and a pretty face there at the forefront.
Well, that's the main shtick is she's really pretty. And then you add in the production values. Yeah. And that's one thing that is true. If you're doing the production, you know, you're putting in the effort to do, you know, proper editing and things like that. Yeah, that costs time. And if you're doing a review though, it's kind of a conflict of interest to pay for it. If you're doing a preview, get paid for it all you want, because then it's paid for advertising. But a review should be critical, and it's hard to get paid for something that's critical.
Yeah, it's a fair point because you can't trust the person at their word, you know, if they're getting paid for it. That's why I've always made not effort, but I've always, if I've ever been sent something said at the beginning of the video, they were nice enough to send me a copy so people know, hey, it was sent to me, you know, keep that in the back of your mind for whatever comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
well,
not,
you know,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we're all technically legally obligated to disclose that they're free games. So
no, I don't mind saying. I mean, people have a right to
know.
know.
Neither do I.
It's not going to change my opinion. I'll still say whether it's good or bad. And I've mentioned it before. I've had companies before where I've put out a critical review and then it's ghost in the wind. I don't hear from them anymore. And it seems like if they get a bad review, they're happy as long as I'm happy.
Oh yeah.
But if I say something critical,
there's a war game publisher that I'm a fan of that I gave a critical review of one of his games that he sent me for free. I didn't hear from him for 2 years.
Damn, Fabrizio really blew you off that long?
No, it wasn't Fabrizio.
I know, I'm only kidding.
But
there's a reason why I mentioned him.
Yeah,
because talking about getting this guy on from Cadet Games, we're going to be having Fabrizio on, and I think Tony too. Correct?
Yeah, talk about the fate of all.
The fate of all here in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. That's why I threw out Fabrizio's name.
That's cool. On a Saturday, I think
tease.
is the plan. On a Saturday afternoon is the plan, so they can do the time zone thing.
Sure. You know, we don't want him up at 3 a.m. like he has been in the past to be on our show on a Tuesday night, which is very unfair. It's like, dude, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing up? But
I stay up till 3 in the morning every night, man.
Yeah, but you don't have to get up in the morning early.
True. I don't have to get up early for work. So
there you go.
Well, I still have a work day. Like I get up and once I do my morning bullcrap, I'm usually working on either editing, rendering, filming, sound work, whatever it is. I do stuff to keep myself busy.
Waiting for the sticker shock.
Oh, that one's going to be $180 minimum.
It's going to be expensive. Yeah. There's a lot of counters. Yeah.
Really? You think it's going to be that expensive?
A lot of mats.
Yeah. Well, you know what you're getting for. You know what you're getting when you get something from Thin Red Line. You know the quality you're going to get.
Right.
And you know the quantity. The depth of the game you're going to get is there. So to me, it's just like with Red Strike, you're getting a lot of game in the box. You're getting high quality production. You're getting a lot of game. Whether it's going to be for everybody or not remains to be seen. You know, I mean, with Red Strike and with Fate of All, it's just one of those things where if you're into Ancients, you're going to be digging it. You know, I really think you will.
Yeah,
I 100%. And you love that too, the Great Battles of History, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've covered a lot of that ancient type stuff, so this one should be all up your alley.
Yeah, I've shuffled some pieces around on the Vassal module and done the rules and stuff. Read the rules and everything, but
for the Fate of All, is that out already?
No, he just sent me the test module just to goof around with. I probably wasn't even supposed to say that, but what?
Little bastard! Look at me, green with envy.
Oh, Ken, no offense, but we didn't even know you were gone. I'm only kidding.
Welcome back, buddy.
Banish All Their Fears? I have not.
No. Don't even
Not
know what
into
that
it.
is.
Yeah, Banish All Their Fears. Who is that?
It's GMT.
There we go. Why did that do that? It was weird. That won't go away.
Is that a war game or a Euro game?
Yeah, it's a war game. I think it's
There we go.
It's kind of like a musket and pike. I think I can't remember.
Now, if it's GMT now, you got to ask.
Yeah, right. Really.
War games aren't exactly their.
Well, I was going to say it's
Only
more
attraction.
likely a Euro.
What's it called? Banish
All Their Fears. Let me look it up.
Yes.
Bayonet Muskets. No, that's actually a war game.
Yeah, do the screen share thing, man.
Niervinden, July 29th, 1693. Oh, that's my birthday. Not that year, but that's my birthday.
I swear to God, they put this on every one of their games now. If you look at the complexity and solitaire rating, they're both just dead
Even.
friggin' center. And I swear they don't deviate much. That's just right there with almost all their games.
Who designed this one?
Dinging them for that because they had
Angry much?
David Fox and Ben Hall. Okay.
It's a Ben Hull game, so there you go. That'll get a couple of rule book revisions, and then that'll be awesome.
They'll rate all their games the same complexity though. They're all 5s or 6s.
Yeah, let's have a look at the living rules. 24 pages. I'm going to guess this will be similar to Musket and Pike with some.
That's a good point. We'll GM for food. Less than 60 miles sounds like a country song.
I can actually hear it in my head right now.
Less than 60 miles left on my truck.
Dude driving home to his wife in his big rig, got his Greyhound dog and passenger seat.
Oh boy. Yeah, he also said at SD Online Con a few years ago that they were moving away from war games because war game sales were flat for them, and they're concentrating more on the strategy / Euro games. So,
well, I don't really blame them. One of their biggest series is the Coin series, and I've always found that to be excellent. Well, most of them anyway.
Yeah.
And what the funny thing is when you get into the Euro market, you get into the Euro luggage or baggage.
Yeah.
Like people bitching about that Weimar game.
Yeah, can you believe that?
See, that's the problem though, is that war game companies are putting out a lot of games about Germany, certain time.
History's
frames.
history, like it or not.
But these people attack them for it and try to demand that this gets published, that gets published, or they have apologies in there. It's just dumb shit. It's like, look, it's a war game. Leave it the hell alone.
It's not a war game. Well, whether it's a war game or it's a historical board game, it is the key component is its history. So, question for Kev: why only 3 rating for NATO on BGG?
I was underwhelmed with my brief exposure to it. So I need to play it fully, but at spur of the moment, it's way down the list. I don't like the rule book necessarily, and I'm not a big fan of the Air War.
Too many
Short answer.
What? Devil's advocate over here. If you haven't given it a fair shake, like actually played enough to really decide a rating, why put the rating up there? If it's just
well, there you go.
315.
That's just me. When you get frustrated with the rule book because it's so verbose that you can't be bothered, then it gets a 3.
What, 80
And then you
pages
play it
is too much for you now?
No, you play it's 80 pages that could have been 40. That's the problem. All right.
Fair point.
Ed stirring the pot.
Really, Ed? Look, Ed, I'm fighting for you, bud. I'm fighting for you.
Well, I would say Next War is completely different than NATO because it's obviously contemporary. NATO is hypothetical World War III.
Right.
So that's
a different scale. And
yeah, I mean, I would love to see the Next War do a hypothetical World War III. I'd love to see Mitch do that with the Next War system.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Yeah, I'd be all over that. I think it worked great. It works great now. Yeah, now, but having said that, with all these supplements, you have so many different choices of things you can do.
Expanding
While it
your
adds a
game.
lot of replay value, it does add significant overhead. So
It does. Yeah.
you have to start making choices about what you're going to use.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just, but it can be intimidating for people trying to get into the game.
Would you give Third World War?
I'm kind of over Third World War. I've played it so much. I played the GDW thing 7 or 8 times. We played it. I just finished a campaign of that, and me and my game partner, who I played every single campaign with, well, no, not every, but most. We both agreed that we like it, but it could use some tweaking, and I actually spent a little bit of time with the designer and just shared some thoughts, and they're looking at changing the CRT to make it more than a 1d6, to make it 1d10, and change some of the combat results, because it's a very 70s, early 80s CRT. So I love all the components, love the rule books, love the scenarios, love the counter work, love all the charts, love all the help in it, love all that. And I enjoy playing it mostly, but it gets to a point where you just go, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's fucking over for the Soviets, right? Or it's over for NATO.
Yeah.
It's usually over for the Soviets. The Soviets can't really, in a full campaign, the Soviets really have no
staying power. They don't have the staying power, but that actually is where I think that is where a game like NATO is really spot on, because you're basically just first week or two and that's it. Because that would be the cost of men and material from at that time frame for both sides would have been exhausting for both sides. We would just traded each other out, and that's where you get into the would there have been nukes or not? We know there would have been chem, but would there have been nukes or not?
Right.
So
you really think there would be chem?
Absolutely.
I think
if I was the Soviets, I'd use chem. No. I would. Non-persistent agent, hit it, kill the people, go through the position.
Mop 3, baby, let's do it.
Dude, have you guys ever worn a mop suit for an extended period of time?
Yes.
Ungodly uncomfortable. I wore it.
It is. That's another thing.
6 months straight.
Not only does it suck to wear, but it also degrades your combat effectiveness. Right. And on top of that, psychologically it wears you down, physically it wears you down. And if you drop agents, guess what? The other thing that people forget, okay, you're wearing mop, you're donning your mask, you're taking off, you're donning your mask. Okay, you got to change out your friggin' suit every 2 weeks because charcoal breaks down. On top of that, no, but that's what you're supposed to do if you want to make sure that you're at max safety, which is not going to happen. We know that ain't going to happen. The charcoal and suit breaks down. The other thing is you're going to need to change out your filters if you get hit with a gas tack.
Yep.
Because they're going to be chewed up. So if you hit with a gas tack, now you've made the masks ineffective on top of the mop gear and everything. So again, they're going to have to fall back to the rear and someone else is going to have to come in. It just makes for I don't see a reason not to use chem if I'm the Soviets. I just blow a hole right through the line and push through. You're not going to blow a giant hole, but you're going to open up areas.
It opens up the possibilities.
Yes.
Once you start that, it's very hard to stop that, and then it becomes escalation. Right? As long as it's traditional warfare, you're at what's understood, what's known. But after being in an area where the threat of a chem attack was real, and we were on guard for it every single day. I remember one time we thought we got hit with chem. We got the warning, the whole nine. Scud had come in and hit, and ended up being traditional, but it hit whatever it did and released a cloud. And I think it had to do with what it blew up instead of it blowing up.
It hit the porta potty.
Yeah. So because of that, we had to lock down for chem, and I was coming into base at that point in a softback Humvee. Mm-hmm. So we're in the Humvee, dawned out, got the mask on, taking duct tape and sealing everything that we could seal. Just waiting for the all clear, and the all clear comes through. But the point is, it's so debilitating, and it angers those who do survive so much that it just escalates. I just don't see that it. In real
but the guys
world,
that get shot at
against those who can use it and worse back to you.
Right. But
there's
the guys who are getting pissed off about it aren't the guys that are making the decisions about using, escalate.
Exactly.
I know.
So, no one cares that you're uncomfortable, dude. Just get over yourself, right?
Well,
Go
the thing
put a fresh filter
is,
in and get out there, right?
yeah, the thing is, Will, what I was saying on this is, I'm not worried about the Soviet dropping back on us. The Soviets would be dropping it first, and maybe the only ones dropping it,
Right.
because they would just use it as they're on the attack. So the Americans at that point are, depending on how much time you get to how much of a warning you get to the border, you're basically just fighting a delaying action the entire way back, and trying to slow the advance as much as you can. It's why on the attack you'd want to throw non-persistent agents in front of you, and then areas that you can bypass, or you can bypass this area, but it might be able to flank you. Well, then you can leave a persistent agent in that area. Try to kill as many guys as you can, so that way they can't get after you.
Yeah.
So the Soviets being on the attack would use chemical for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think so that's why I'm interested. So two things. The escalation route in World War III, which is what we're talking about, the Compass Games reboot of GDW, right? Chadwick's game, has an escalation issue, right? Because it takes a while even just to get to chem usage, let alone nuke usage. So, and I think the Soviets would have used chem off the bat to punch the hole, get to the Rhine, and get the war over faster. So I think that's a bit of a flaw, but who knows? And I think also World War III, that's set at an odd time, right? Because that's actually 89, and that's where the Soviets were the weakest, right? So
that's right before the wall fell, right?
Yeah, right. So, and it's I forget when the original game came out, but positing the capabilities of the Soviets in the late 80s, they actually made them pretty fragile. So,
they were past 85.
So I think they made them correctly, but it doesn't. I think it would have been a better game had it been set in the 70s when the Soviets were at their peak.
Yes,
and the US was not scaling up. The US was trying to get its act together technologically. I think you would have a much more balanced game. And if that, and my suspicion is that that's coming as well. So we'll see, right? That may be coming as well. Besides other areas and other, global, they're doing other map sets and other bits, right? So we'll see what happens.
Well, see, the problem for doing a Soviet NATO or Warsaw Pact NATO in the 70s is you've got a strong Warsaw Pact. You've got a weak NATO because the U.S. is coming out of Vietnam. The U.S. military at that point was a giant cluster. It was a mess because you had the drug culture that just went rampant through the military.
Full of draftees.
And the draftees and stuff. Sure. So you had a much weaker force. And then it started to get turned around in the late 70s and the early 80s. And that's by the mid 80s is when the US was at its peak and the Soviets were starting to wane. So 85 would be perfect. I think 85 to 87 at the furthest out would be the best as far as having a more equitable fight. But once you get to 89, that's when you also have the argument though for 89 that it's only a couple of years after they are starting to falter. Their economy's going to shit. They don't have any money, but they still have the equipment. They still have trained people, and they have desperation on their side. So they want to, the Soviet hardliners want to hold on. They're going to go one last bull rush. So that would be the only thing that does allow 89 to still be a positive or a possible outcome.
But what's their ultimate goal? Right? Like, this is something I never understood about the Third World War.
Get to the Rhine.
Going hot. All right, so they get to the Rhine. They take Germany. Then what? What? Do they take France? Do they take Spain? Do they keep going? Do they stop there?
Well, at that point, hopefully NATO sues for peace.
That's really their goal, is to get NATO to sue for peace, to cause enough damage that they just say, to hell with it.
Well, and also economic riches and population and, the accumulated wealth that's there. I think
Mhm.
it's a classic empire building strategy, but then it's also build a buffer zone. So because that was arguably that's one of the theories that their strategy was like we want to extend to the Rhine to have a bigger buffer. Okay, what's the US going to do to that? If that's the case, are they going to nuke West Germany? Probably not,
No,
right?
no.
But they sure might nuke the hell out of Moscow and other places. So then it gets into a bit of a
But
goofy
Moscow would not want to get.
thing.
So that's where you get into the whole mutually assured destruction.
Right,
For us to
right,
nuke Moscow, they'd have to nuke New York or Chicago or something here in the
right,
states.
right.
If you hit our homeland, we'll hit your homeland. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we'll keep it in Europe. And that's where that can go all different. You have arguments for that all you want, but or all different ways on that. But the thing is at that point we were both so powerful with nuclear weapons that thankfully that never happened because that would have been very, very bad.
You really
Yeah.
You want to
think
talk about climate
NATO
change?
would sue for peace? That's my thing. I don't see them
That's
suing
what they
for
would want.
peace.
That's what they would want, but I
That's
don't
what
think the
Russians
US would.
want. But
No.
we're not going to just say we'll just keep Germany, because all that's going to happen is they take those resources. Those resources will be gone in a matter of years, and then they'll just want a bigger buffer, a bigger piece of the pie. They'll want to push farther later on.
So
There's
they'd
no
want to
reason
be like
end the
NATO.
conflict. What's that?
So they'd want to be like NATO,
Well, the difference
pushing
is
further and
NATO
further and
had
further and further.
the big bully of America in its corner that
Mhm.
hasn't been beat. So there
Well,
really
there's no
just
one to really
doesn't.
fight it.
There's no reason for NATO to ever surrender. I'm getting sidetracked on it, but I just
Well,
don't see a reason for
again,
them to surrender.
it would be. I think it really would come down to just blow through Germany, destroy as much U.S. equipment and NATO equipment as possible. With NATO being, NATO really being the money behind NATO and the biggest force behind NATO being the U.S. You attrit the hell out of the U.S. The Soviets don't care how much they lose; they just throw everything at you.
Yep.
But if they can get as far as they want to, they want to get to the Rhine, they can get further or whatever, then they just say, okay, you want to cry uncle now, NATO? And then hopefully NATO says, we've got a refugee crisis in multiple countries now. We've got cities that are just destroyed. We need to sue for peace, at that point. Again, would that have happened? We don't know. But we do know that with the level of mechanized warfare at that time between two near peer, very, very much peer enemies, the men and material loss would have been very high on both sides.
Yeah, and also keep in mind you've got the break. The Soviets got the breakdown of the Warsaw Pact, right? You've got all those countries looking to revolt at the drop of a hat, right? So
yeah, that's the other
if
thing
they
too.
can show strength, that they would maybe be able to bind those parties together and enforce their will. I don't know. There's a lot of factors in all that, but anyway, it makes for good hypotheticals, and I don't know that I don't think it really impacts gameplay per se. Whether
No, but it makes for a great conversation.
I just don't see any. It's kind of like the war in Ukraine now. There is no win for the Soviets. There is no win for Russia.
Well, there is no win for the Soviets because the Soviets aren't there. The Russians are.
You know what I mean? I was talking about World
I know, I'm
War
just
III.
busting your chops.
But I think there's a win, right?
Oh, there's a win.
They draw a line down to Crimea along the Donbass, and that's a win.
The Russians aren't knocked out yet, and how much money has the U.S. put into that war to fight a proxy war using Ukraine? They're winning. Russia is winning, I think. When you look at the cost that we put into it and the amount of people that Ukraine has lost, and the Russians have lost too, but it's why?
Yeah, but they're dealing with a civil war. What's that group? Hell, I can't remember the name of them. Something dogs or whatever it is. It basically is a mercenary group full of Russians that turned and they're attacking their own people.
Oh, Wagner
group. Yeah, the Wagner. Group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I mean that's irrelevant, right? That's such a small part. Right?
They're just using penal battalions because they're getting all these thugs out of prison saying, "Hey, go out there and fight and die. We don't care. Go fight and die because you're going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 Ukrainians with you. I don't care if you die because the Russians don't care about them because they're thugs or convicts.
Yeah,
So,
I just saw some news that that there's some offensive going on right now. That it's more urban oriented, but it's been quite successful in the south. So who knows what's going to happen there?
I mean, what's his name? Grognard's talking about public sentiment, but he's right. Imagine being in West Germany and suddenly, you're overthrown, NATO's pushed back, but now the Soviets are on top of you. It's going to be like Vichy France, right? You're going to have guerrilla warfare.
Oh,
Your troops
sure.
are
I
going to be
think
attacked
totally. Yeah, totally.
left, right.
Right.
So you're never going to be able to sit on your winnings. It's going to cost you more to keep it than it did to get it in the first place.
Yep. But hey, that's no one thinks about end games, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There is no win. There is no win for them in that. The best. It's kind of like that movie War Games, whatever it is. The best play is not to play.
Yeah.
But
see, that right there is a good point. The desperate foe will take chances it would normally take. So I think that's where the 89 situation, excuse me, would have been one of those, hey, this is our last chance because we know communism is falling. We know the Soviet Union is going to fall. So if you get a bunch of hardliners, they pull a coup and then they just go to war with NATO. That's how a lot of these games are set up anyway. That's believable enough.
Well, you guys remember that thing that happened, what was it, a couple years back, the Bloody February? Was it February 17th, I think, where this Russian mercenary group that wasn't Russian attacked an American position that had a bunch of Marines in it. And the U.S. reached out to Russia like, hey, we're getting ready to hurt these people. You sure they're not Russian? Wink, wink. Like, no, we don't have anyone there. And the Marines just killed them left, right, and center. Handful of Marines against the overwhelming force. Absolutely just devastated them. Same thing would happen if the Soviets attacked anything NATO related. They're not going to come out on top. I think they know they're
well,
not.
If it's well, obviously, given the current status of the war, if they can't overthrow a third world country with $60 billion in ammo from the United States, I don't think they have a very good chance against NATO. But NATO is a bit of a paper tiger in of itself as well. Just all the numbers you see for the German army, they're all
fake.
Drones.
The last figures I heard, they had 5 actually functional Leopard tanks. Most of them are all scrap or pieces
or in mothballs or whatever the case may be. But the biggest army in NATO was Poland's army, and the most effective army is Poland's army.
Well, everything has changed. The GWAT changed everything because everybody, was all about counterinsurgency, and now they've let vehicles go to shit, and now you've got everybody changing. I mean, look what they did. The Marine Corps took out armor, took out some artillery, some infantry, some air that was going away anyway, and now upgun pedal pirates, and the Army is kind of the similar boat. I mean, all our branches now are not at the level that they were 10, 20 years ago.
Speaking of 10 or 20 years ago, Second Fallujah, turning the conversation back to war games.
What are we talking about? We're talking about war games, just real war games.
War and games.
War and games. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you for the game because I really enjoyed it.
Second Fallujah is really good. I gotta say,
they did
an excellent job with it. It plays very, very well solitaire.
Yep, really good game.
So that is definitely a fun one. It really is a good one. If you've not gotten it yet, guys, Second Fallujah from Paper Wars
103.
3, yeah, it was 103. Paper Wars 103. Definitely pick it up, and you can even check now because there's 8 more days to go, I believe, in the sale. The Compass Games holiday sale goes till January 31st. So jump on that and get a discounted price on that, I believe, on the sale.
Looks like Tim just got a copy.
Yeah, you're gonna dig it. It's really fun, Tim.
Yeah, I mean they portray it rather accurately with few exceptions. And the fact that the American forces don't suffer enough casualties in that conflict to actually represent removing counters from the board. So you don't remove counters from the board. You lose points. And the bad guys, the insurgents, lost massive amounts. So they're counters get ripped off left, right, and center, but they're almost infinite. So you can never really take an area. You have to try to control the entirety of the map, or at least all the points that are most important to you. So it's how to kind of work the puzzle so you can control everything that you need to, while using that handful of blue Iraqi they make a much bigger deal of Iraqi security forces in that game than they ever were in real life.
Yeah.
Those guys were nothing.
Oh, there we go. Mitch saying he's got Second Fallujah just arrived already. And Table Solo Bot wasn't part of it when I played it years ago. It's very well done. So now that Mitch is here, let's pitch Mitch on next war, next World War III. Next war, World War III. We were saying, Mitch, how next war system would translate to a mid 80s, early 80s, maybe late 70s or something like that. 70s to 80s, World War III between NATO and Warsaw Pact. So hop to it, man.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll just pot that one out.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you're ready. Yeah. You can use the Under Iron Sky order pedal.
There you go. There you go.
Now, I get it. The Iraqis were a political thing. But even when we were there, those guys were not around very much. The most I saw them, they were guarding a few bridgeheads that we weren't really that concerned with. They were never involved in any actual operations. All right, the only Iraqi I saw on any regular basis was interpreters. I don't even know if those guys were Iraqi. We had a handful of those guys. The rest, any of the rest, we treated like insurgents because you couldn't trust those little bastards as far as you could throw them. Whoever paid them most recently is who they're going to listen to, if you're lucky. So no, they're not important. They should have a much smaller scope in the game, like half a counter.
But you also have to remember too. You have to keep in mind it is a game. You know, it's a war game. So you have to have balance in there. And you have to, with the U.S. forces you have in the game, you can only go so far and cover so much space. So that's where the Iraqis do help in being able to be stay behinds or cover the mosque areas, things like that. So in that regard, it also gives you something else to manage, you know, the whole political.
Yeah. And it's a plus one DRM on the combat roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
You couldn't trust those guys though. They're the ones that are supposed to go in and talk to the mosque people. Hey, are there any weapons in here? No. Wink, wink. And the whole back room's full of explosives and 155 shells and all this shit. They didn't tell us that crap. They never told us the truth. We didn't trust those guys. I guarantee you the people who were represented on those counters did not trust those Iraqi security thugs.
Well, I'll tell you what, being that we're on the topic of Iraq, have you guys watched Mosul yet? No. Anybody in the audience? I'm going to tell you right now, go put it on your watch list. It's on Netflix. Fantastic movie. It is a really good movie about the Iraqis fighting in the city of Mosul. And it's about the Iraqi SWAT team. And these guys, to be part of it, and this is a true story, these guys were real. Everybody that was on this SWAT team, they were the police, and they were the SWAT team for that area, and they basically became a military unit at that point. Everybody that was on this unit either had been wounded by ISIS or lost somebody from their family to ISIS. They were basically on a revenge tour. And part of what they did was go in there, kill these guys, and then they take pictures, selfies with the dead bodies so they could show their families what they did to get some, reparations basically for what happened.
Nice.
It's a good movie. It's a really well done movie.
Can't blame them for that.
So put it on your watch list and be ready to watch subtitles. That adds to it, I think. Makes it better.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I mean, I told you guys before in 2003, when we first crossed the berm, the first Iraqis we ran into, I mean, yeah, they had AKs, but those things were barely functioning. And the moment they saw U.S. forces, just arms up, they were given. I mean, these guys were conscripted. They had someone come into their hut, point a rifle at their family, and say, either you go fight the Americans or we kill you all.
Yeah.
So those are the guys that you're talking about join those little security forces, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. So enough about that. What do we got to look forward to in 2024? Real quick rundown on what you guys are looking forward to this year, war game wise.
Oh, war game wise.
Yes, not VR. War games.
Not VR and not Euros or strategy games. Champ.
Shit. You go first, Kev. Let me think this one through.
Okay. All right. Well, ILAO. So Sound of Drums. Just got. I said on my video that it was my actual production copy, but I got a note that it's not my production copy. So I may end up giving this one away to someone if they at some point. So got that in. All the components are glorious. Just going through the rules. The rules probably could use one more player aid, I think. There's a lot of little DRM bits and pieces that need to be kept track of that I'm dealing with. So excited about that. Excited about New England Simulations ILAO. I think that's called Winter or something Victory in the Winter. I can't remember.
Winter's Victory.
Winter's Victory. So that's unfortunately I made a mistake and ordered 2 of those, which is an expensive mistake.
Oh darn!
So I will. Yeah, that's going to sit on the shelf and shrink until
it's out of stock, and then you're going to
sell it. Out of stock. I can sell it and recoup a little bit of money. And then, so I'm excited about that. Hansa, North Africa, is in my immediate, window of things coming soon. So that'll hit the table super quick. I've got Road to Stalingrad coming from Nuts Publishing. I did have it on pre-order. I had to cancel my credit card and get a new number because we got hacked, and they tried to charge my card and said, "Oh, the card, it doesn't all work, so we will cancel the order." So I missed out on the pre-order price on that thing. So I sent him a little note saying, "Hey, thanks for freaking nothing." So I got that coming. I'm pumped about that guy. What else have I got? I've started a campaign of North Africa 41, the Simonich title. Super pumped about. I know there's an expansion coming for that. I think that'll get announced pretty soon. They're going to do North Africa 42 or whatever. I'm trying to think what else order-wise I have. I've got some Compass stuff. Compass is, well, obviously the Fate of All for
yes.
Line. Operational and tactical. Super excited about that ancient stuff. Compass Games, The Last Gamble. Pumped about that bad boy. Can't wait for that to come because I need another bulge game like I need a bulge. And what else? I'm trying to think if there's anything super exciting. I've got Valley of Tears here. Haven't touched it yet. I've got I just got Crimea in, and I got 2 old SBI games in recently, 2 monster SBIs. Highway to the Reich and Wacht am Rhein. So once I get into the house, which is who knows, February-ish, maybe, I don't know. We're going to set up some monster games and get after it.
Well, that ILAO game from Sound of Drums.
Yeah,
you're pretty impressed with that so far, right?
I'm impressed with the components and the attention to detail. I like the formatting of the rules. I like the counter art, the way it's put together. I think it's going to be more sophisticated than Hexasim's Rising Eagle system, less complex than, say, Pratzen Edition or Zucker's Napoleonic Library of Battles. So I think it'll be. I think it's not for mature audiences only. It's probably like mature audiences only versus 18 plus, and it's certainly not Exosim, which is kind of down at a simpler level. But like I said, I haven't moved enough counters to even have an opinion. And Air and Armor, damn, yes, I'm waiting on that bad boy as well.
Yeah, those 3 right there are on my list. But going back to ILAO for a second, the reason I was mentioning that is because this has not been. I'm going to bring this up for the first time. There's going to be more details to follow, but Uwe is sending me a copy of ILAO. Not for me.
Cool.
It is not for me. This is to be auctioned off to help Mark Ruggiero and his
Oh,
wife.
cool.
He's basically pulled
I
out all the
thought
stops.
Compass put out that
What's
one.
that?
I thought Compass
What?
put out that game.
No. Sound of Drums. And he's going to be sending like this mega box. It's in a wood
Oh, the
box.
wooden box one? You can auction that
Yeah,
off? Oh, awesome. Yeah.
it's gonna be like top shelf everything. So when that comes in, I'm gonna shoot a. Basically, I'm gonna unbox it. He wants me to do an unboxing of it, so I'm gonna do an unboxing video of it, and then we're gonna release details on the auction for that. And all the money is going to Mark, and that was very kind gesture by Uva. And I think I strongly recommend anybody who's interested at all in Napoleonics go check the game out. Go support
Yep.
him because he's
Yep.
supporting us, a fellow brother wargamer. So
Yep.
definitely really appreciate the efforts he's putting in for that.
Hey, let me know when you get that going. I'll do a heads up video to send people that direction.
Yeah,
Sure.
ditto. Do the same thing, and I'll even make a bit just to pump up.
We also need to put in a prayer that Mark's wife, not to be too cold about it, but if she decides to sell his collection later on, that she does not sell it for what he told her he paid for all the games.
Well, I think he's been selling it off himself, so he's been making sure to try to get the value of the games, which is good.
That's why I told
and he's had friends helping him too. So
I was like, if anything ever happens to me, go to Mo. Don't try to sell it for what I told you I got it for.
Yeah, she'd be like, he said he bought all this for $140. No.
Yeah.
Don't sell it for that. I'll buy it for $200 from you. Then you'd be like coming back from the dead to kick my ass. But yeah, Air and Armor, Last Gamble, Atlantic Sentinels are definitely on my list as well. Also, Phantom Fury 2nd edition is coming out from Nuts.
Yeah, from Nuts.
So even though I still have my 1st edition, I'm going to get 2nd edition just because, and I'm looking forward to that. And then I'll decide whether I'm going to keep the 1st edition, give it away, or sell it, or whatever. But I definitely am not giving away the 1st edition until I get the 2nd edition. Fate of All definitely looks interesting. So we'll be talking more about that here in a couple weeks as well, because anything Thin Red Line does is just always fantastic.
Well, Next War Iran, another
Next War Iran, of course, that's another one that is
played that awesome.
It's Next War. So Next War, it should just be Next War : Instabuy. It doesn't even need to be any other. Just Instabuy, and it'll be definitely an Instabuy. 2 copies if he does Next War, hypothetical World War III, Full to Gap 85, or something like that. Oh yeah, I'm in. So yeah, that's I think that's mostly it for me. What about you, Gimp?
You guys have said most of them. I still need to do Silent War from Compass Games. I've had that one on the list to get done for a little while. And I was wanting to review this when I got it in, but I'm so mad about what they did that I'm having trouble bringing myself to put it on the table. The Heroes of Normandy series. The big red one.
Oh,
the Kickstarter, Battle of Khan.
Surprised you didn't do a Kev Sharp and burn it put it on video.
Well, I got that Kickstarter in, but they screwed everyone. They did that Heroes of the Pacific Kickstarter where they ripped everyone off, and now I'm like just not enthused to film the product because I know the company behind it, stole tens of thousands of dollars from a bunch of people.
Yeah,
so,
that's total bullshit, right?
Yeah, I would not support them in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, so Gimpy, real quick, and I don't want to interrupt you, but it's might be a good point for folks that who are watching. World War 85. Speaking of people who have been accused of stealing money, wrongly and erroneously and slanderously, just got their first final production copy of World War 85 in. So I think that might end up shipping soon, and I'll be waiting for all the apologies to come in from the folks that were so rude to Lock and Load Publishing and David, attacking him personally and his wife, and exposing his personal financial circumstances. Very unkind, and uncool. Yeah,
we all know David. He's not a bad guy, but he
Right.
makes the same mistake all the time in the fact that he doesn't give himself a buffer. He always assumes that his perfectly laid out plan will go exactly as is,
Yeah.
and something always pops up, whether it's Chinese New Year or whatever, and it's outside of his control. So it's not his fault, whatever delay happens, but he doesn't build in that delay. So now everyone feels like the game's running late. And if something happens, right?
But look, I get it, but I think that the vitriol from a very small crowd of basically, measly little bitches, I think was completely unfounded. Number one, number two,
the timing though.
But it's not that. But it's not the timing. I don't believe it's the timing, Nate. He has stated to me several times, I want the game to be ready, and then I'm going to do the Kickstarter, and then I'm going to print it and ship it. Now, what happened this specific time, at least with World at War that I know of, was they got the pre-production copies in, and there were a bunch of bullshit that was wrong, that wasn't fixed and done properly, and that's on Keith Tracton and the playtesters, right? So David's the CEO. He's not looking at every game.
There was a production issue too, because they had to change.
Oh, yeah, sure. They ran into some of that too. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I get it. But for this one, it's yes, is it late? Yes. Am I annoyed it's late? Absolutely. But you don't. If I said to you, Nate, that your wife was a bad person and was the whole that she'd gone and done evil things, and that you were filing for bankruptcy and you're an asshole and all this other stuff, and said all that stuff online just because you haven't got your little fucking piece of cardboard. Sorry for the swearing, but because you didn't get your little bits of cardboard on time, that's some serious grade A bullshit. So anyway, sorry for cutting you off.
I don't agree with. I've put out plenty of videos attacking publishers for doing wrong, right? And I don't think he has in this situation. I think it was late. A combination of a lot of different things went wrong that pushed it back. But you're right. It doesn't account for all the attacks that happened. But like I said, I think it had to do with the timing and the fact that other publishers had done shady stuff around that time, like right before all that happened. So with others doing shady stuff, some of these guys took it and ran with it and were like, well, if they're screwing over people, that's probably what he's doing too. So
there's part of that. There's also part of the thing. This is one thing I warned David about several years ago, along with the buffer and all. We've all talked to him about that. But I says, you're getting into a different market now. You're getting into crowdsourcing. Kickstarter, this was on GameFound, but same idea. You're dealing with a different type of mindset. There's an entitlement that people have there, and that entitlement mindset is seeping into the wargaming realm more and more that you see in the hobby realm. And you paid money and you're going to get it. David's good for it. But like you said, Kev, there is no reason for people to be that nasty towards David and to say the things they did unfounded. It's like, don't say something about somebody online that you wouldn't say to their face. That's the way I always look at it. And these people today, the anonymity of the internet, they get keyboard muscles and they throw their little rants. It's like, they need one of these. Shut up.
So it's I just find it disheartening that that's what is in the wargame community. And look, if someone said something about one of you guys, or one of you guys did something inappropriate, it's not applicable for you to say that I'm exactly like the two of you, because hey, I'm not because I'm way cooler because I'm not a Marine. But you can't we can't paint everybody with the same brush.
No,
right?
Agreed.
So it just frustrates the shit out of me when
there wasn't even any association, right? It's not like they were the same company, same people, even remotely associated with each other. They just both produce games. And some of them were like, well, these bad people did stuff, so he's got to be doing the same thing. Like, no.
And look,
he's moving. That's it.
And I think his way of dealing with it probably compounded the problem. The
Yes.
lack of communication.
That was a big mistake.
Instead of getting on and answering every question and doing all this stuff, he equivocated, and he should have just gone on and done a 10-minute broadcast. Hey, here's what's happening for A, B, and C product.
Wait a minute, David, do a 10-minute broadcast?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, between him and the crew there. So I just with Devin and co, I just get on and give everyone an update, and tell them what's going on, and then you're done, right? You don't have to answer everyone's questions and pander to people. But anyway, he's like Ed said, he is a brother in Christ, and I trust him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100%. Confident that his business is as robust as it needs to be, but I think we're going to get our product.
He's not a criminal. There's no criminal intent at all.
He's just had some awful timing and bad.
There was a convergence of events.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't mean to completely take us off the rails there. So
no,
Gimpy, you were saying what you were going to.
No, you're right on that.
It's right to address it. He's not a bad guy. I don't blame you for sticking up for him. Now, with all of us sticking our necks out for him, if he were to do something shady, I'm not saying he is, but if
I call him on in a heartbeat. He knows that, and he knows that all three of us would do that.
Yeah, I'd tear him apart. Wouldn't be giving him a pass.
And he would expect that.
Now, as far as other games to look forward to, there's just one that we mentioned briefly earlier, but that, of course, would be British Tank Ace. Definitely looking forward to that one. That's the only other one I would add to the list that hasn't already been said.
Should be good, but I do expect World of War 85 to really I think it's going to be great. The other thing that kind of, and this is another thing I did mention to him in the past, the first one came in fast.
Yeah.
Because everything was done ahead of time. Everything went as smooth as it should have gone for the second one. I says, now you've set a standard you have to live up to.
Yeah.
If you trip at all, they're going to devour you like a pack of hungry wolves. Yeah. And we saw how that worked out. So
do you remember
sometimes
that other game? Because remember, we went to that WBC, we saw the prototype kits and everything for World of War 85. And there was this other game there that had been in development for something like 11 years at that time. And I think it's still waiting to be published. What game is that? I don't know.
Like the East
is it a tactical game?
I'm talking about Conflict, dummy.
You mean Contact Now?
Yeah, Contact Now. Yeah.
I'm talking about Conflict, dummy. You mean Contact Now? Oh, yeah, that one.
Shut up. You know what I mean? Yeah, that one. People are still waiting on that one from Compass, and that was supposed to.
That should be late this year. I believe that's coming out late this year.
No, it's not.
I believe it is.
No, it's not.
Well, the way things are going, who knows? That guy. Who knows?
I wouldn't have said anything if he hadn't pulled that crap that he pulled. But I still, to this day, do not understand why he came out slinging mud at people who never spoke ill of him, did bad towards him, anything.
Yeah.
Well, it's the internet, dude.
That really pissed me off.
Yeah, I'm done with that guy.
Yeah. I mean, people like that.
We don't even need to say his name.
No.
All right. I'm going to need to roll.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here because we're a little over time. But I wanted to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. What's that?
Tony in the comments.
I have no idea. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you being here, and stay tuned for a couple of things. We're going to be having another Whiskey Charlie here in a couple of weeks to talk to the guys from Thin Red Line Games for the Fate of All. And also there will be more information about the ILAO auction, which will be to benefit Mark Ruggiero. And that's thanks to Uva from Sound of Drums Games, and really go out and support this guy. He's doing a lot of good things for Brother Wargamer. So definitely support him back. But for my co-hosts and I appreciate you all for.
Let me say one thing before we send off.
I was just rolling, man. He had to cut me off.
You guys stay tuned. Next month, February, I'm going to be doing a game giveaway. So you guys stay tuned for the announcement for that one. That's it.
There we go.
That was it.
Anything for you, Kev?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, have a great night, everybody. We will see you in a couple of weeks.
Take care.